Hi, my name is David Lee from R.W. Sullivan. Here to, give an overview of the plumbing and fire protection systems for the main addition or Binny building, however we want to describe it. I wasn't exactly sure of the format. I just put together a little outline here to give an overview of each system, location, and description. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me. I have a whole lot more time than I'm used to, so I'll try not to make it too fast, but I won't keep you here too long either. All right. Starting with the plumbing, the domestic water. The water service to the Binny building is fed from the main building. The low zone is sub-basement through 3, and 4 up to penthouse is on the high zone. The main building booster pumps have been replaced already. The replacement booster pump is very similar to what you had previously, with the exception it's a variable speed drive. And it has communication via the lawn. Beyond that, it's very similar to what you have. It's not terribly impressive looking, but it is a 250 GPM for each pump, 3 pumps, so you're capable of 750 GPM. It's not likely you'll need all 3 pumps to run at any point, but they are capable of running at the same time. Those pumps are located in almost the exact spot as the previous main building booster pumps. There's a booster pump in the penthouse as well. The penthouse booster is really dedicated to the cooling tower water supply only. It doesn't serve any other fixtures or anything like that. It may be possible to supply that cooling tower without that pump. You're very close to the edge of the pressure needed without the pump. We didn't want shutdown issues with the cooling tower or problems like that. So you have a booster pump to provide just the cooling tower. That's a Duplex booster pump, also on a variable speed drive. And that also communicates via the lawn system. In addition, we have a booster pump added to the well water system, which is located on main 4. That booster pump is taking water from the well tanks and delivering it also to the cooling tower as a backup system for the cooling tower. In the event that water is lost, you can still have your cooling tower operational. There is nothing else fed from that. However, it is sized with a little additional capacity in the event that well water was needed somewhere else or found suitable for another task. But at this point, we didn't have any. The new main building booster pump system also includes a filtration system, which is not installed yet. It cannot be installed until after the fire pump is removed from the main building sub-basement mechanical room, MA0013. That system includes multimedia filters, some pre-filters, and a UV sterilization light. The system will be fully automatic for backwash, programmable to what times or what intervals it'll backwash at, bypassable. The ultraviolet can be used full-time, or it could be used as a precautionary use. If you get information from MWRA that you have water issues, concerns about water, you could turn it on at that point, or you could leave it running all the time. It does require maintenance, cleaning, and bulb changes, so you may find that you just want to use it when you need it. In general, the MWRA water supply is good, it's clean. It's an extra tool in your toolbox, essentially. forever how you choose to use it. We have a new BMT water filtration system located on the 4th floor of the Binney building. That includes all the bells and whistles, the RO filtration, carbon filters, water softeners, UV sterilization as well. It has its own dedicated electric water heaters, and it has a 500-gallon storage tank for the clean filtered water. The system is sized to take both the main BMT as well as the new Binney building BMT if you choose to run off of one system. It can also be segregated to just operate off of the existing system. Adjacent to that water system and supplied from that water system is the hydration system, which is basically a system that distributes chilled water to the hydration stations. There's one on each floor of the Binney building, each patient floor, I should say.
Are those cooled at the floor, or is it cooled before it gets to the floor?
Those are chilled at the central piece of equipment and circulated through the loop. So it's not chilled at the actual distribution. It's chilled right at the central unit.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And actually, the hydration units on each floor do not require power. So there's no electricity to them. They just distribute water. The new addition includes water heaters dedicated to the addition only. The low zone serving sub-basement through 3 is located in the sub-basement mechanical room of the addition of the Binney building. They're duplex instantaneous steam heaters rated for 30 GPM with a 100-degree rise. They also include duplex circulators, of course, and a thermostatic master mixing valve. High zone water heaters are located on the 4th floor or the mechanical floor of the addition. They serve 4 through penthouse. They're rated for 60 GPM with also a 100-degree rise. And they also include duplex circulators, thermostatic mixing valve. The sanitary drainage in the building is all by gravity for the most part, levels 2 through penthouse. The sewer line exits the building at the lobby or basement level. It actually exits inside a exam room, I believe, which obviously isn't ideal, but it's all exam rooms on that side of the building, so there's not a whole lot of choice. There are access panels and cleanouts in the wall. The lower levels, basement and sub-basement, are pumped. There's a duplex sewage ejector located in the Binney sub-basement mechanical room. Collects fixtures and drains from basement and sub-basement. The storm drainage is collected at the penthouse level or the 10th floor level as well. It's all piped to a central location based on lack of space throughout the building. Central 10-inch storm drain is located in the plumbing closet. The roof drains at the roof and penthouse roof include overflow drains to prevent structural damage if the primary drains were clogged. The overflow drains are piped directly to the primary drain in the vertical. They have separate horizontal runs. The horizontal runs include electronic monitoring, so you'll know if there's water in the secondary drainage. If you get an alarm for secondary drainage, you need to investigate your roof. You could have some flooding issues on your roof that need to be addressed. They are wired to the BMS system, so you will get an alarm in the shop. You should not get a false alarm. The sensors are kind of 15 degrees off the very bottom of the pipe, so a small trickle of rain that enters should not set the alarm off. So it requires a fair amount of flow before it's going to give you an alarm. There's a foundation drainage sump pump located in the Binney sub-basement mechanical room. It's really just taking foundation drainage. It's a duplex pump system. It may have a few small incidentals as well. It's not a terribly large system. Adjacent to that is what we're calling an emergency sump pit. This has an open grate on it. Its intent is to take any large volume of flow. Emergency is kind of indicates that in the event of a pipe rupture or breakage, unexpected water, sprinkler flow, whatever, this is going to be able to handle a large amount of flow. It's including 2 duplex 400 GPM pumps, and it's piped to the storm drain right before it leaves the building. In addition to those pumps, there's a small submersible in that pit as well. The idea of that is just to kind of minimize the amount of standing water in the pit. You know, large pumps can only take so much water out of the pit. For the medical gas systems, we have new nitrogen and nitrous oxide manifolds storage as well, located in the Binney sub-basement. These are replacements for the nitrogen and nitrous oxide manifolds that used to exist in the main 0013 mechanical room. These manifolds and cylinders, or the manifolds are arranged so that the cylinders can stay on the cart and you can wheel the cart in and just make your connections without having to remove the cylinders from the cart. The system is also interconnected to the clinical building for redundancy, backup, or whatever needs you have there. Oxygen to the Binney building or main addition is supplied from the main building, sub-basement mechanical space. The waste anesthesia gas disposal is also supplied from the main building. It's interconnected as well to the clinical building. The supply is on the 4th floor mechanical space coming into the main addition. In addition, it's connected to the medical vacuum system. So you have several redundancies there. And the majority of that valving happens right in the main building 4th floor mechanical room. The Binney building includes a new set of medical air compressors. It's a triplex system, 30 horsepower each. They're located in the Binney building 4th floor mechanical room. They include a duplex desiccant dryer system. They are also interconnected to the main building system as well as the clinical building system. They have valving arrangements so that you can interconnect with high pressure wet air or low pressure dry air, similar to what you have existing between main and clinical currently. There's a new set of medical vacuum pumps installed in the Binney building. The Beacon Medea system that includes 6 variable frequency drive pumps located on the 4th floor mechanical room. The system's interconnected to the main and clinical building medical vacuum system as well. And as I said before, it's interconnected to the WAG system for redundancy there as well. Fire protection in the main addition includes 2 separate pressure zones. The lower levels or sub-basement through 4-5 mechanical space is the low zone or low pressure zone, and the high pressure zone is floors 6 through penthouse. PRVs required to create these pressure zones are located in the fire pump room in the Binney building basement. These PRVs will require testing annually. They're connected to the fire pump test header so that you can test through the test header. You need to flow, basically a full flow through these PRVs. So that's a fair amount of water to get rid of. There's 2 fire pumps included in the Binney building addition. There's a primary and secondary fire pump. The primary pump is connected to the water supply from Binney Street, as well as a water supply from the B-line tunnel. It's a horizontal fire pump. The secondary fire pump is supplied from the fire protection water storage tank, which is located underneath the fire pump room. It's a smaller pump. It's only a 500 GPM pump. Its intent is to be used when or if there's a loss of water from the city. Based on code, these pumps can run simultaneously. I cannot put in an electronic means of shutting down the primary fire pump. It's a problem with code. So it is possible for these pumps to run simultaneously. I say that because if you are in a situation where you lost water, and you know you lost water, I would recommend shutting off the primary pump because it will turn on if it has a need, and it'll basically burn itself out. The fire protection water storage tank, like I said, is underneath the fire pump room. It does extend a little bit beyond the walls of that. It's a 40,000 gallon tank. It includes automated level controls for automated filling, level maintenance, has a high water shutoff, as well as an overflow alarm. It overflows to the emergency sump pit that I mentioned previously. And inside that pit you can see the flow sensor. There's a fire protection air compressor also in the fire pump room. This air compressor serves dry systems and PreAction systems throughout the building. It's distributed inside the plumbing closet to levels 2 and 7. There's a dry pipe valve in the fire pump room as well that is dedicated to the ambulance driveway. The ambulance driveway is now essentially served from 3 separate systems. The space below the Binney addition, or Binney building, is served by the Binney dry pipe valve. Space below Enders is served by the Enders dry pipe valve, and space below the main is served by the main dry pipe valve. It's maybe a little bit confusing, but it just works with the building layout. The PreAction Systems are serving MRI suites located on level 2 and level 7. These are double interlock systems. They're addressable systems connected directly to the fire alarm system.
Dave, is there a plan to take out the main building RO? Or is that
For
gonna
the
stay?
BMT suite,
Yeah.
there is not a plan yet. It is in discussion, I believe. We've discussed it. It hasn't been
With this
planned
new
out.
system, it's gonna feed main and
It
Binney.
is capable of both, but until that,
They're gonna leave them separate from that?
I'm not sure exactly how operational you're going to run them, but it has not been planned to take that out yet, to my knowledge.
And then nitrogen in the tank room, you said it would be in Benny?
It is in the
Will
Binney.
it no longer be in 013, when's that change order supposed to be? Or are you gonna have both locations?
013 is already removed.
That's what
Oh, yeah, that's right, we have
That's
a
the
whole.
domestic
clinic
stuff.
building.
Right.
Yeah, so
So-
the clinic building and,
Right. This is Binney Street right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is the fire pump room. This is the, I guess, third stair, as I called it, that it brings you from the ambulance drive level downstairs to the fire pump room, the direct access for the fire department.
And there's a new service coming in there,
Correct. Fire protection service coming in here.
off of Benny.
Double check valve inside the mechanical room adjacent. The access to the water storage tank is inside the fire pump room in this corner over here,
Is that floor hatch?
right? This is the horizontal fire pump, and next to it is the vertical fire pump.
Where do we get the dual feeds?
There's a floor control valve station in this stair, and one in this stair here. And they basically just feed the mechanical spaces in the public area based on the fact that most of this floor is electrical.
So do we have a pre-action in the electricals? or-
No, the vaults don't have sprinkler.
The vaults have no sprinkler whatsoever?
The vaults have no sprinkler.
Okay. And how about the domestic water feed? You said there's 2 feeds going to it?
There's
To the fire pump?
There's a feed from
Binney
the
Street.
Binney Street, and there's a feed from the main
Oh,
mechanical
right.
room. Correct.
And they-
The new pipe that was installed is the new low-pressure feed to the pump. The existing high pressure that was connected to Enders is now interconnected to the fire pumps in Binney. So you can back up Enders through that.
Those valves are, the shut-off valve for its enders is in that area right there, in the existing building.
Right. So you have your backup to Enders and your feed to the rest of the campus.
Okay. Now how about do my backflow, you said I got a Benny feed to the fire pump, and then I'm taking the feed from main building 0013
Correct.
to those backflows, and I'm also taking that loop down, and those were twinning together and going to the fire pump?
Correct. They twin together in this room here, and they go directly to the fire pump.
Okay.
The test header for the fire pump and the PRVs comes out this way through the fuel oil storage, and is a freestanding connections right out at this edge of the building, the other side of the garden or whatever that's going to be.
Is that a standard test header that we used to, or is there some other things to that?
It's a standard test header, and there's 2 pump connections for low zone and high zone.
So the fire pump, that's something different than we haven't seen, right?
Yeah.
So there's there's 2 separate connection points out there?
2 separate
One for
connections
low zone,
for low zone,
one for high
one for
zone.
high zone.
Is that for the fire pump to know what they're gonna put the
They'll be,
pressure?
That's-
they'll be labeled. yeah.
That's so there's no valves that could fail between the fire department connection and the sprinklers, essentially. There's nothing that's going to be closed, like a PRV or anything in the way of that water. If they need to connect, you need the water. Exactly.
That's right.
So in other words, when they pull up, I need to know the floor, and they pull up, take them to the certain, like, lower part, another corner, wherever that might be, for the upper,
Well, they're all next to each
or
other.
side by side.
They're side by
Yeah.
side. There's you can see the sign out there, they're gonna, I don't know if that's the permanent sign or a temporary sign, sticking on top of it. Big red sign right now. Every time you walk by, you can see what it says.
So just help me understand one more time, because you got 2 things up there, low zone and high zone connections.
Correct.
Is that to feed the fire pump, is that to feed the fire department water? Is that for water to be fed to us?
That's for water to be fed to you.
To us?
If the fire department needs to add
So if
water
he-
to your system,
So if he says,
they will
oh, we have
connect
a fire and we need water, we need to add to it, and it's the lower part of the building, they're gonna connect to the low side.
correct,
And that's gonna go up and feed 5 or whatever, 4 down,
correct,
4 below.
correct,
If they know there's a fire in the high, 6 and above, they're gonna go to the high side, hook up
Correct.
to that and feed water to the high.
exactly.
Okay.
And these are located where again?
Out near the.
By the loading dock,
Where
essentially.
the buses
The bus,
leave.
okay.
Yes,
They're installed now.
Yeah.
Between the emergency electric room and the main building, there's a confined space, floor to ceiling, about 30 inches wide.
Correct.
That's the main electric bulb, that's sprinklered, but the one between the emergency electric and the main building, last time I checked, I wasn't here last week, there was no sprinkler system.
Yeah, they finally sprinkled that.
They did
Yeah.
do it?
Their heads in there now. So.
So they sprinkle the cavities, the little
Yes.
building.
Yeah,
separation
it's-
cavities?
Yeah, you can actually walk in
The
there.
horizontal chase or whatever you want.
These are really there only so we can have drains in the floor above and we're not piping through electrical spaces. So the floor above has drains that may offset into these spaces on the floor above, and you won't have any drainage in these electric rooms.
No plumbing.
No plumbing at all, correct?
Mhm.
So these are essentially access points for your plumbing from the floor above.
And what do you have done, because I remember going in that room, you have some PreAction Systems in there, in that fire pump room.
There's a dry.
There's a dry pipe system that
Is it
serves
dry?
the ambulance bay, yes.
Isn't there 2 in there or just 1?
Well,
Just
there's
one. There's a main alarm
main
check as well.
Main alarm check for the building.
Main alarm check for the building and a dry pipe for the ambulance drive.
So main alarm check, regardless of low or high, that's the
Correct.
flapper, that's the
Correct.
top.
Correct.
And then you have that dry system off to the side, and that's for the ambulance bay.
Correct.
And then you also have a is that compressor just dedicated to that?
That compressor serves the dry pipe for the ambulance bay as well as the pre-actions on 2 and 7 for the MRI spaces.
So that's plumbed all the way up to the MRI spaces?
Correct. There's a dry pipe riser or a compressor riser
Compressed air riser going up,
going up in the plumbing closet.
and that branches out and feeds, so there's no little tiny, smaller
No.
compressors at those locations?
No.
You just got that central air?
Correct.
That goes to all the dry and the pre-actions, the MRIs?
Correct.
It's all about those locations, with all the bells and whistles, pressure switches and all that stuff at those
Exactly, exactly.
locations?
Yep.
A separate pre-action closet on the second and the separate pre-action on the seventh. Little closets with those valves.
No noise in them, because there's no compressed air.
Right.
And are those the typical stairwells that you see up each floor, or can you pop up a typical floor with the stairwell shut-offs?
Yeah. Any more questions on this floor?
Well, I think there's other equipment down there. Isn't there domestic water heaters or something down there?
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, that would be on the plumbing drawing, but
Plumbing
yes.
drawing? That's just all fire protected?
This is all fire protection here, yes.
These floors are level where the shut-off valve for the sub-basement's actually at an intermediate landing. It's not.
So on the lower levels of the building, you have 2 stairs.
What's left floor?
This is the second floor, for an example. You have a stair here with a floor control valve station, as well as a stair here.
So that's the stair, the upper right hand is the stair right out here in the elevators.
Right.
Okay. And the other stair,
It's kind of in the middle of this building.
okay. That's the one that goes up to the mechanical space right to the roof.
Exactly. This one
Right.
goes all the way up through the building. This one stops at the mechanical level 4.
Okay. So you have those are the shut, so if that had a problem on that floor, you'd have those 2, you'd shut those valves off.
Exactly.
On those floors. That's right.
The one on top, which staircase that again? The one on top, that one leads up the street?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Over here, Binney Street,
That's
where that
Binney
side
Street
building
on the
goes straight
right.
up into
Right.
the elevators?
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
With that stairwell that disappears, those on the upper floors go to patient rooms, correct?
Correct.
Sure, no.
Right. So I'll put this next to it so you can see the difference. So this is the same stair here. At level 4, it kind of turns 90 degrees, but it is the same continuous stair. And then the other one that was up here has disappeared here. And the floor control valve stations are directly across from the elevators here.
What floor is that you're putting?
This is level 6.
6. Okay, so
This arrangement's typical for
That-
6 up
6
through 10.
all the way up.
Yep.
So the lower floors, it goes up and it stops. Where does it actually stop? Does it stop at the roof deck of 5?
It brings you up to 4.
It brings you up to 4.
Right.
So if I'm in the mechanical room now, all right, where are the valves in that 4th floor mechanical room that have to be shut off in the event of a?
Those, I believe, are in the
Rock
stair.
They're in the stair.
They're in the same locations, they're those locations on the lower floor of the
Right.
drawing.
Right. Wherever there is a stair, we tried to keep them in the stair.
Yeah, so it'd be in the stairwell that goes to 4, when you come up the stairwell,
Right.
there's a PRV feeding the mechanical room in that location and that location,
Right.
in that drawing.
Right.
On that one, once we bump up above that mechanical space, we go to 6.
Right. This
And
one.
that's where you're gonna see
This one moves over to here.
over to there. Now, is that the, looks like the elevator lobby area.
It is the elevator lobby.
So in the elevator lobbies,
Exactly.
what do you have, like an access panel or something?
Yes.
Access door.
You have an access door that you have to open up to shut off the
Two
floor.
of them.
Exactly.
That's correct.
It'll be
Okay.
labeled.
That's for all the patient floors.
All the patient floors going up.
Right.
And the other ones on the regular stairwell that goes up to the thing.
Correct.
That turns horizontally goes up,
Correct.
okay? So that's typical, that's where they all are. And is this lower floor for the ED the same, or do you have the ED one that shows a little different?
What floor is the ED, they said, too?
Basement.
The ED's
That's
basement. It's very similar.
See, there's one in this stair down here, and if we could go look at it.
Yeah, it might be easier to look at it because of the way the stairs
They probably
work.
had like an interstitial landing, they're not at a floor landing.
Right.
So
The way the
you
stair
don't, you don't
is.
have it on the drawing to show how it's laid out?
It's-
It wouldn't depict anything different than what you see.
It's shown right next to the stair,
Yeah.
but I think it's easier if you
Better
actually
look at it.
physically see it.
But it's in the general location of this lower floor, that's what I'm hearing.
Yes, yeah.
It's all in the
Exactly.
general location, it's gotta be the same thing. It's
Exactly.
not be exactly in the same.
Right. This stair just does some offset here going down. It's not shown very well on any of the floor plans because it happens in between the floors.
That stair goes out 10 feet higher than the basement level floor. It goes out an ambulance ramp. Which is confusing.
That's a kind of funny area of the building that you might want to be familiar with. These two lines represent the low zone and high zone cold water coming from the main mechanical room over here. So, like you said, that's another riser over here. All the pumping and filtration happens in the main building. This is the plumbing mechanical room for the addition, with the exception of a condensate receiver. Everything in this room is plumbing. These are your ejector pits on the corridor wall here. Water
And
heaters.
those ejector pits are strictly for elevation 1, or basement and sub-basement type of, what are those?
Basement lobby or ED level and the
And
sub-basement.
That'll
Right.
go down to that and then they'll pump it out to discharge?
Correct. You have your water heaters in here. There's a sink in here for hand washing, equipment washing, whatever you need to do, and an emergency shower. All your valves for your risers for the entire building are located right in this corner of the room. And the risers begins here and goes up through the building.
Is there any PRVs on this water distribution or just piping and valves once it leaves the main building?
Piping and valves.
Piping and valves. So any PRVs for low zone, high zone are all coming from main building?
There's no PRVs on for the domestic water now.
Nothing?
Nothing. Low zone is city pressure. High zone
High
is
zone's
straight
up
off the
to
pump.
Straight off the pump. It's just being plumbed over with isolation valves only, distributed to the building.
Correct.
Hot water heaters in
Hot water heaters are on the side of the building.
there?
And
What are those serving?
these are serving 3 down to sub-basement.
domestic hot water, low zone.
Domestic hot water, low zone. There is no non-domestic system in this building.
And does that hot water heating system have its own circular pump with it?
Yes.
So it's all centrally located there. If you lose hot water in third floor down, go there.
Exactly. That's
Where it's all coming from.
That's where it all comes from.
Okay.
You want to touch base on the chlorine system we have for the,
Well, before I move on, one second, Kenny, is that you gotta keep in mind too, is the hot water heater. That's medium pressure steam, correct, going to that? Not low
Yes,
pressure.
but it's knocked down to low pressure
Where, at this?
at the equipment.
Right, just FYI, because we just went to the other training, if you missed that, the HVAC wise. Steam for that actually comes from it comes from the steam tunnel, it comes in, it goes, expresses high pressure steam up to the fourth floor. It gets pressure reduced at the fourth floor mechanical room, and then the plumbing, the steam from fourth floor mechanical room goes back down the building and serves that hot water heater, that 60-pound hot water heater. And then it gets reduced at the hot water heater. It's kind of good information to know. It's not coming, it's coming from the fourth floor pressure reduction station. That's the only station in the whole building. High pressure comes in from the tunnel, goes right up to 4, distributes from 4, and then goes down and up. Yeah.
Kenny just reminded me actually that the fire protection water storage tank actually has a chlorination system located inside this plumbing mechanical room, right on this wall here. That simply draws water from the tank, samples it for chlorine content, adds chlorine if it needs it, and pushes it back into the tank. It's programmable to cycle whenever you determine is best for it, and monitors it and keeps that free of bacteria and so on.
Arian Waters will be contracted to maintain the skid, but obviously we'll be responding to any alarms that came off for any type of reason. If something failed on it, I can't see much. It's just a glorified large pool filter, if you will, because it's 40,000 gallons of stagnant water that's sitting in there. And it's not good to sit there, so they're going to try to treat it, keep it as clean as possible.
We don't expect a lot of growth or anything like that in it. There's no sunlight there. It should be relatively clean at all times. This room right here, adjacent to the fire pump room and the plumbing room, that's the gas cylinder room, nitrogen and nitrous oxide. That's accessed directly off the corridor.
So that room there would be like fitted up the exact same way as the CB tank room is now. Storage of cylinders, it would have oxygen depletion monitor in there, it would have an exhaust fan associated with the space, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, it does not include carbon dioxide in this room. It's just nitrogen and nitrous oxide, where CB has carbon dioxide.
Does it require an oxygen depletion sensor, or?
It does, and it has one.
It has one.
Yep. It's not actually a requirement, but it has one as precaution. Yes.
Okay.
And it has a dedicated exhaust that is taken from just above the floor. This is the fourth floor mechanical space. The high zone water heaters are located in this space. They are, correct me if I'm wrong, Kenny, they're over in this corner here.
yeah, they're around here.
Those
How
are,
about I missed on the lower floors, the plumbing closets, the location of the two plumbing closets that come up?
Yeah.
Is there two or just one?
there's just one closet.
One, but they
closet.
move around.
Right.
They shift around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, slightly.
Slightly. How about just a general area, hey, this
Yeah.
is this plumbing closet, this is what it is.
This is the basement level, or ED level.
Mm-hmm.
As we said, at the lower level, they were coming out of the mechanical room, which was adjacent to the stair here. They come up in a shaft, and they come back here, and they drop down to serve this floor, and they also go up here. This is the general location they are at at the lower floors, up into 4. At
Okay, so
level,
where the elevated lobby is there, it's on that side of the building, which is right over here,
it's right over here.
right over down there.
This is going to be adjacent to a mechanical shaft.
Is the closets clearly marked, Pat? Plumbing closets, so if you go over there, you see plumbing closet.
Right now, there's a sign on
I don't
it.
know if they have the labels up yet. I think
Most
most of them have the
most
labels.
signage up?
I think-
Yeah, they've got every sign in the building up
Yeah,
there.
I think it's a temporary sign that's on there right now. But. So, this includes your water heaters we just talked about over in this area, and your BMT system is located right in this area here, as well as your hydration skid that's fed from that system, and it distributes to the BMT floors throughout. Throughout this space, there's a few locations where the waste receptors are for the BMT space, similar to what you have now, to eliminate traps in the
So,
BMT
like
space.
the floor sinks?
The floor sinks, exactly.
So does all the, like, medical gas and all that stuff all follow that same route in these closets?
Yes.
So medical gas, plumbing, RO,
RO does not go in the closet. There's no RO in the closet.
It's not, there's no.
I'm sorry, the drinking water. Does the
That's
drinking water
more,
follow that too, or no?
No, the drinking water doesn't follow it because it's a circulated system, and the drinking stations kind of stack for the most part.
So you just went up?
So we went
Straight up and down?
straight up and down to minimize the loop.
I have a question. On the BMT,
Mhm.
is that feed a certain floor, or does it feed everything? Is it
It's just the sixth floor.
just the sixth floor?
Correct.
So just like we have a
Just, there's
power
like,
system established, right, for 6 west on the main side, and the BMT feeds specific, so that's what it is,
exactly,
just 6.
exactly. But off that BMT system is supplied the hydration system that feeds the drinking stations up through the building.
Something we don't have yet. They just
Right.
put them in stations, I think they're in the nourishment rooms or something,
yeah, they're in the,
something like that.
I don't know.
I think they're adjacent, yeah. They're fairly stacked in the nourishment rooms or adjacent to nourishment rooms, wherever possible.
And is that drinking system copper piping, or is it?
No, it's polypro,
Polypro piping?
yes.
So it's gonna look similar to an RO, but don't get confused.
Exactly.
It's not RO.
Right. There won't be a whole lot of it visible.
Right,
But-
except for the mechanical space.
Right.
Where it runs off from the hydration skid.
Right. It is different piping than the BMT supply, so it's distinguishable.
Different in color or?
Different as in color, yes.
Good then.
This is the BMT floor. It appears as though there's not a lot of piping on it because it's all coming up from the mechanical space inside the walls to feed these fixtures, with the exception of cold water to supply the toilets.
So it's all coming out the closet, the same closet thing?
Same closet over here,
area?
yep.
That's where it all comes from?
Right, and some of the staff sinks, obviously out in the corridor, or nourishment sinks, will be off of that system that serpentines around the space.
So you treated the sixth floor the exact same way as we treated the main building sixth floor?
Yes,
We upfeed from all the RO BMT to all the fixtures,
correct,
through the walls,
correct,
through a closed loop,
exactly,
no dead leg system
Exactly.
stuff going through there.
exactly.
Dialysis boxes in there and all that kind of stuff.
Yes,
So it's
Exactly.
pretty much a mirror image of what we're doing over Main.
yes, except for in Maine, dialysis boxes are not fed from this system, whereas here they are.
Okay, that's something different.
Yeah.
So dialysis boxes are not fed from BMT system? Where are they fed from?
They're fed off a non-potable cold water
Just
line.
regular non-potable
Yeah,
flow
to
line?
just protect the backflow. and just
That's
try
it,
to-
backflow? But here, we actually took it off the BMT RO system? Is that one here?
I believe so. This is an MRI space here. All the water distribution's coming out of the closet again. There is a pre-action closet for this, right down in here, that serves this space here. It also serves this, or will serve this meg room up here. Other than that, it's fairly straightforward.
So So 7th floor encompasses pharmacy, the whole pharmacy area.
There's a pharmacy area over here.
That's fully sprinkled.
Yep,
And then we have the MRI suite.
right here.
And that's the pre-action, that's in that closet you pointed out.
PreAction closet
Serving.
here serves this MRI suite, and it also serves this meg room is what it's called.
So what do they just, what is it, just put the dry stuff, they just rifle it over and draw a pipe down
It's on the
and
same
redistribute on that
system.
too? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a branch off of the system.
Just a
and
branch line off it?
with detectors as well.
So they put detectors in there, electrical detectors, and then they put the dry
You have a
system
full
in there.
station.
They put, so they kind of mirror image it, but it all comes off that one.
Right.
If you get
System.
water in one, you'll probably get water in the other, depending on where the air is coming out. It'll be air in the whole system,
Right.
so.
So this is a typical floor. This is 8, but 8, 9, and 10 are very similar. All the water's coming out of this closet as well. Distributes throughout the building. Over the patient rooms, the cold water line is going to be over all the toilet rooms. The hot water line's in the corridor. Originally that was minimizing the dead leg to electronic valves all out here at the corridor side. Those got eliminated from the project.
Hands-free valves?
Right.
Yeah.
Those got eliminated from the project, but the piping's still there. So yeah, your cold water is shut off from the toilet room, your hot water is shut off from the corridor.
So all med gas and everything comes out of that closet, right?
That gas is coming out of here as well, yes. For the med gases, all of your zone control valve boxes will have shutoffs in the ceiling prior to the box, so that if you have a renovation, you can take that box out without shutting your floor down. You just shut it off with those valves.
Got like tampers on them?
They will have locks on them.
Locks on them, they'll be locked in place.
Locked in place, yes. There's not a lot of plumbing systems in the penthouse. We have the booster pump that serves the cooling towers over in this corner here. We have a sink up there for washing equipment or hands, and we have an emergency shower up there.
That whole story now, emergency showers, did we template all the water, all the emergency showers?
Yes,
We did, so every emergency shower also has a mixing down there?
correct.
Now, I also thought I saw a booster pump up there,
There is. That's serving the cooling tower.
serving the cooling tower.
Serving the cooling tower only. That's increasing the pressure of the water so that we can get into the cooling tower.
Okay. So that system will only.
That's the only thing on it.
When it'll come on when it needs it, shut off, and just.
Well, it'll be always on. If it needs water, it'll come through that pump. We're really right on the edge as far as water pressure goes, getting to that cooling tower. I believe Eric needed 50 psi there, and we're very close. After the backflow, I think we'll be below that. So we need.
What enables that pump in? Well, how's that all gonna?
What enables
from
it?
a control standpoint, because you gotta remember the
Pressure.
cooling tower will only be operable for about 4 months out of the year. The rest of the time it won't even run. There won't be any water in it drained. So does that? I don't want that. There's no reason for that pump to be running 8 months out of a year.
It wouldn't have to be running.
Right.
If the
Would it
cooling
just shut
tower's
off
not
its own
running.
Once it's satisfied, the pressure would just shut off? How would that work?
Yeah, it will make pressure. It'll fill the bladder tank and it'll stop.
That's
Just
not-
in the off-season, you could shut
Yeah,
it down.
you could shut it
That's what
down.
I'm
I
saying.
mean,
Well, I'm just thinking out loud, saying that we might be able to, part of our procedure is,
You could shut it down.
if the cooling tower's not running, the chill's not running, we
Shut
shut
it
the pump off.
shut it down and drain it if you want. Yeah.
You know, I'm almost to the point where I might have enable the run command on that thing when it runs, it's able to run. If it's not, it doesn't enable to run.